And welcome to the first episode of a podcast about wrestling. I am Jacob Barber, joined by the Marty Jannetty to my Shawn Michaels, or the Shawn Michaels to my Marty Jannetty. We'll find out. Jordan Pierce Owens. Jordan, how's it going, buddy?
We're off to a rough start already, man. Calling me Janetti. Oh, man. Especially when, as you'll probably learn very soon, my favorite of all time is Sean, and you're calling me Janetti, man.
That may have been done on purpose. We're
Hurts.
best friends, remember? I
We
know
are
who your
best
favorite
friends.
wrestler is.
Best friends who bicker on trivia a lot, and now we got a podcast about wrestling.
Yeah, I got less than 50% on the quiz about you to earn that title.
Yeah.
So
people that should have known me better did not do as good as you.
People that you've actually met in real life.
Yeah. Shout out to Wheels, who I've spent numerous occasions with.
I wasn't going to call anyone out by name, but now that we are.
Wheels, Dutch, they're high on the list.
Jordan is also dealing with the sickness, but
yeah, it's just like Disturbed. I'm down with the sickness.
Now I'm just disturbed. Anyway, this is a podcast about wrestling. We will talk about wrestling. Obviously, that's the topic. And
I signed up for ice hockey.
No, I'm more of a field hockey guy, but
it's another disagreement we have.
Whatever. Yeah, hockey, the traditional white guy sport, apparently. I don't know. But yeah, no. Let's just get into it. I feel like you're more in the know about wrestling than I am. I am strictly a fan who has seen it on my television screen, and you're a man who lives it. Like you're in the business. So like, what's that like?
It's interesting, man. I'm approaching about 12 years now. Here in Florida is where I live. Done a little bit of everything. I've had a couple gimmicky matches. I can say I've had like 6-7 matches. Mostly gimmicky. Battle royals are where I'm mostly getting my ass kicked. But on top of that, commentary, ring announcing, booking. I've set up the ring sometimes by myself. I've done the seatings. I've swept the ring. I've done everything you can imagine. Pretty much doing.
Yeah, and so in Florida, like you're involved in a lot of promotions, aren't you? It's not just one that you're involved with.
Yeah, I definitely try to dip my toe in as many as I possibly can. I currently am the main one of the two main bookers, lead commentary. I do a lot of the video editing, flyers, etc., for Real Pro Wrestling, RPW, mostly in Fort Myers, but we also do Ave Maria and Port Charlotte and anywhere we can. On top of that, I am involved with Tampa Bay Pro Wrestling. I'm currently involved with Florida Gulf Coast Wrestling, FGCW. Sometimes I'll dabble over at ACW, American Championship Wrestling, over in Port Richey. I've been involved with multiple companies, and yeah, loving every minute of it.
So not
every minute? That's a lie.
Not every minute, like not the.
Yeah, that's not true.
Like when you're getting tossed over the top rope, and I don't know if I'd ever go that far. I enjoy watching it. I'm a big fan. Have been for 25 years now. So,
how old are you, Jacob?
I'm 31. So about 5 or 6 is when I started watching it.
Okay, so not right away, but early.
No, no. I mean, that's the earliest I can remember. Is watching it with my dad, but so it could have been earlier. I was watching it on my dad's lap or something. I don't know. But like the earliest I can remember is like 5 because I was a big Sting kid. Like Sting was the man. What got you into wrestling?
Probably family. My dad was a fan, still is, very casual fan. He'll tune in, sometimes, not a dead diehard fan by any means. Then my brother, older brother, both named Don, by the way. My father Don, my brother Don. Uh, he came along, took it to the next level. I don't think he's missed a WWE pay per view maybe ever since the 90s,
Wow.
legitimately. And then I came along and I took it to that next level. I wasn't happy with just watching it from day one. I always knew I wanted to be involved with it in some way, and I started falling in love with other companies too. I mean, my brother's more of a mainstream fan. I love everything in independence. I mean, name a company, I probably own a DVD from it, from Ring of Honor to Evolve to Jersey All Pro, Chikara, USA Pro, CCW, AIW, Beyond. The list goes on and on. I love all sorts of wrestling, from the smallest indie to the biggest company ever.
So when did you like? What was it that prompted you to like want to get involved, other than just being a fan? Like, what was it about the business that really got you? Like, I want to do this in some aspect.
I just think it's one of the greatest shows. It's a live action stunt show. It's seeing a big action movie, but in this case, you can high five the good guy, you can boo the bad guy to his face, you can get involved. I love. I also love acting, and I know that might sound weird, but like I love being a character. I love getting away with being an asshole if I'm a heel. I love, you know what I mean, like on commentary. I try not to. Sadly, especially in RBW, I do know the finishes, but like I love being at other companies where I don't know the finishes. I want to be involved in the match and really try to play any kind of part that I can. Anytime I can add to it. Love being a manager. You know what I mean? Trying to get the crowd into it and hate me and my client. And it's the show of all shows in my opinion. And wrestling is best when it's eclectic too. If you don't like technical wrestling, wait. We'll probably have a great hardcore match coming up. If you don't like that, how about tag teams? How about women's? How about big men? How about small men? All colors, all races. Wrestling is for everyone now, which I absolutely love. And yeah, I just think it's a great combining of worlds. You know what I mean? I've met some bad people, but I've met some great people, some friends, till the day I die. People you would never have met otherwise, all combining because of our love for this one combined thing, Lady Pro Wrestling.
Yeah, I mean, we wouldn't be doing this now if it wasn't for pro wrestling.
Absolutely.
I mean,
And you're all the way, you know what I mean? You're in Washington, right? Am I right?
yeah, we're like on
So
complete opposite sides of the country.
yeah, there's no
Um,
reason that there's no way we would have ever crossed paths. Since many things I mentioned Wills before, Zach Monster, who I run Real Pro with. Um, he's the main honcho over there. So many people, man. Michael Turner, all the trivia friends we have, absolutely.
right. It's weird because I'll talk to you guys sometimes more than people I actually see that live here where I do. It's
No,
weird.
for sure, especially during COVID, man. I was like, you're the only people I see.
All right, hey, I got nothing to do. Let's do a trivia match, and it's it was it was a fun way to get through the pandemic that we're still going through,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
it,
But
it ain't done, man. It ain't done. Be careful. It seems to be happening a lot. I've heard a lot of people still coming down, so be careful. I'm trying to quarantine as much as possible unless it's really necessary.
yeah, I wish I could, but I work with children, so
No, I
it's
mean,
kind of
like I said,
hard. But
it's necessary
it's
100%. But
yeah. Um, so you mentioned booking that you're in the booking. What's what's that like? Like, what take me through the process of just booking a show, like especially like I can imagine for the bigger companies it's easier because they've got contracts like WWE, AEW, they know their people, but like you're kind of more of an
that's
independent
definitely
promotion, so
step one in knowing if you're booking indie wrestling. Is excuse me. The classic line that you'll see sometimes on flyers, or I always put on the event page on Facebook. Card centers have changed because yeah, things happen. You're working with people that maybe their job called them in, maybe their car is not working, maybe this that, or the other. I joke because I also usually do the match graphics, the matches, and there's been times where if I make 8 match graphics, one or two of them will end up actually happening. Like that's how bad like things
Mm,
are to change sometimes. So you just gotta be ready to adapt, ready to know that okay, so and so's not making it, this, that, or the other. But I mean, it's a hard question to answer. There's so many things that go into it. You want to have you're kind of building off the last show, as far as keeping some stories going. Um, you have a budget, definitely, you got to work with too. So sometimes I'll draft a card and I'll do some math and I'll go, that's too expensive. Let me change some stuff around. Or there's a lot of little things that go into it. You know what I mean? You want to
mhm,
keep some things fresh, but you also want the basis for people to grasp onto and follow. And yeah, there's a lot of things that go into it. Be ready to adapt.
right. I mean, we even see that with like you know, the big companies. Like we just had Day One and Roman Reigns. Like,
Yeah.
oh, he's not
All
gonna
of
be
a
there.
sudden,
So,
your main event's gone. Yeah, yeah. We've had shows where um we've had someone like I don't think it was Sammy Callahan. He was our main event guy, and all of a sudden he couldn't make it. I mean, all of a sudden we got to figure out, like, okay, what do we do in our main event? Last month, and now all of a sudden, 5 days before the event, we got to find a replacement. Now, we got to hustle.
mm, yeah, that's a big name. Like, how many big names have you worked with?
In general, a decent amount, man.
Yeah.
Nothing too crazy, but I mean, I've um, Real Pro, we keep it a little more local, which I like. I like that we're trying to build the stars. But I mean, I don't know, nothing too crazy. You got your headbangers, uh, Matt Striker, Tomko, EC3. I've actually done commentary with EC3 and the genius Lanny Poffo.
Oh,
That
nice.
was interesting. Uh, trying to think, man. I've been around because of wrestling. I was able to open up for Mick Foley a couple different times for stand up, which was pretty
Oh,
awesome.
cool.
That's kind of my go to. Like, this happened in my life, kind of thing. And yeah, it helped happen because of wrestling. I remember him getting announced for the comedy show, and me kind of sending out like, "Hey, for the first time ever," kind of like if you're trying to get booked, usually kind of like you have a resume. You mention like, "Hey, I've done this, that, the other." So for the first time in a comedy show, I also kind of threw out my wrestling resume.
Hmm,
And I think that's what won me over because they're like, oh, they had no idea that's the other thing that I'm doing right now.
right. So I've always been curious about this story. You've mentioned it a few times. You fired Jay Lethal.
My boy Jay, uh, yes, yeah, I should have mentioned him. He's a great guy. I've been around him for a while now. He truly cares about also giving back. I remember him coming over to when I first started with New Era Wrestling. The ring was in the backyard, and Jay Lethal showed up to the backyard. Not paid it, not didn't have to. Just wanted to. He came with one of his people and he kind of helped him train, and and helped him work guys out, and that was really cool. And then since then, he's opened up his own school. Right now, it's currently being run by him, but Big Connor of the Ascension and David Mercury is also really fantastic. The Wrestling Lab, uh, cheap plug. Shout out to them if you're looking to get trained in Florida. You have a few different awesome places like that. That's definitely maybe my number one. So yeah, Jay Lethal when he started kind of doing the school, they also went up to Pro Wrestling, which I mentioned before. Um, I am the commissioner there. I've been the commissioner, general manager, ambassador, however you want to put it, for multiple companies, which I find pretty cool. And yeah, man, Jay Lethal started trying to, kind of overstep his boundaries, and I had to fire him from the company that he helped start. What can I say, Jacob? You don't overstep on the GMGO over here. So I had to fire him. He's wiggled his way back in here and there, but he's no longer in charge of anything as far as show wise. So you know, sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. The guy's done okay since. I mean, Ring of Honor World Champion. I think well, actually at the time was already Ring of Honor World Champion in the past, but AW I guess is okay. So if in a way he should thank me for fire. I feel like it's been a fire.
He really should. Yeah, he's done okay for himself. Um, so you mentioned Shawn Michaels being your favorite wrestler. What was it about Shawn Michaels that just like you latched onto?
I think it goes back to like what's your first memory? My first like real like locked in memory. Like I said, it was always on growing up. So like I don't have like one very first memory. If I had to pick one, it's probably that Shawn Michaels face turn in 95, 96 when, I remember seeing him in the match with Owen Hart where all of a sudden he passes out and like being really like, is Shawn okay? And then like, winning that rumble. My uncle Randy, who was also a wrestling fan, that probably also helped me. Um, he taped the VHS for me in New York and sent it to me. So like I watched that Rumble '96 on like replay for months. Probably still the Rumble I've seen the most is Shawn's '96 win because it was one of the first Rumble I ever owned. And then finally winning that title, that iconic line of the boyhood dream has
Right.
come true at the match. And so in a way, it's hard for anyone to kind of beat that because that's the first like real juicy latched on moment that I recall really being invested into and invested in a story and a person, not just like, oh cool, warrior, he's colorful and cool, but like really being like, I cared for Shawn. I wanted him to win that rumble.
Right. I it's hard to argue with against Shawn being like the goat when it comes to wrestling. But I don't know if I would call him my favorite. He's definitely up there. I just enjoyed, especially his second run when he came back.
Oh boy.
Like that's probably like those 9 years are just great. Didn't need the title, but obviously he fought for it. He
Oh, he
won
had that
one,
once, man. He
yeah,
won it back at Survivor Series and then lost
then
it
lost,
at Armageddon. And
yeah,
never had it again. He fought for it, had great matches.
right. But he didn't need that to
No, exactly.
like. People were just excited to see him back. I know I was, because like I don't have the memories of his earlier WWF run like you do. I was a WCW kid growing up because that's what my parents watched. That's what my dad watched. So that's what we watched. Fun fact: we went to Disneyland, and the day we came back was also Spring Stampede, and so it was in Tacoma that year, and they were getting off at the airport at the same time we were coming back, and so I met Disco Inferno. I got to shake his hand as a 9 or 10 year old, and then my dad comes back. I was like, "Guess who I just peed next to?" Who? And it's like Billy Kidman. I was like, "Oh, cool." I shook Disco Inferno's hand. Not as
Yes.
cool,
I
but
peed next to Mason Ryan and Low Key. Those are fun key stories.
at the same time,
No, separate events.
lucky. Um, so yeah. What what would you say is the most challenging part of the business? I mean, obviously you're not like an active competitor. You said you had matches, but like you're still in there. You're still like part of the show. Like what's
Maybe
most
maybe
challenging for
maybe this
you?
goes to my wanting to please everyone, but knowing you can't please everyone. Uh, there's gonna
Mm,
be losers. Half the card's gonna be losers. As far as the match, not really losers. I don't want to say that sounds hard, but you know what I mean. Like
right,
half the
right.
cards are not gonna win their matches. Not everyone's ideas are gonna get heard, and you're gonna unfortunately, whether you want to or not, make enemies.
Mm,
I've had people that I've considered friends, like not just workers, but like actual kind of like friends, and that I no longer get along with because of just petty wrestling things. and that sucks. And also too, sometimes you do have to be. I don't want to say the bad guy, but like there is a weird level of, you know, if someone's really nice, but like they're not necessarily fitting on the card, or maybe they're just not up to snuff. Like you also got
Mhm.
to make those decisions. Like you can't book everyone just because they're cool. Like and so unfortunately, at the end of the day, you do have to kind of make harsh decisions, and you can't please everyone, and someone's gonna be upset. You think you put on a 5-star show, and you'll find out so and so thought it sucked or whoever. So yeah,
Mhm.
that's kind of thing is that some you just got to know that like do your best. Don't get hurt if someone doesn't like it. Uh, Try to adapt and just do what you can.
Yeah. So what when you're on commentary, what are you trying to focus on? Are you the color guy? Are you the call to action guy? What's your role?
It does depend on who I'm with. I try
Okay.
to be capable in both. If the other guy seems to be definitely just the color guy, then I try to know enough to also tell the technical story as well. Usually I think I'm more of the color guy. I love giving kind of insights and backstories. Ring placement. Psychology. Why are they doing certain things? Try to make it make sense. Try to be in the moment is always something that's important. You know what I mean? Unfortunately, as I said, sometimes you'll know the big spot, but try to sell it as best as you can, and you just really focus on the match. You know what I mean? Sometimes you gotta plug other stuff. Um, but yeah, just putting the match first, and really trying to tell the story of, if there is a story of why these two are battling, and yeah.
Yeah, I really appreciate it when commentators actually focus on the match and they're not talking about things that happened previously in the show or things that are going to
Yeah,
happen in the show.
very rarely will
Or
I
it's like,
rarely will if I do, it's very brief, but it's not overcoming the match. You know what I mean? That's I think a very TV thing that happens sometimes is that they're so worried about just getting you hyped for the next thing and keeping you tuned in that you lose focus on that current match. Yeah.
right. What do you think about Pat McAfee?
I like him, man, because he, some WWE guys, especially some of the ones that they hire who aren't wrestling fans or are just sports guys, they're not necessarily in the moment. They're not necessarily bad, but at least McAfee, I feel, truly cares and has fun. And I don't know if they're, even certain little things like the Mickey James thing last night. And he's like, she's from that garbage from her past. Like, it almost feels like, is he shooting a little bit? Are
Hmm.
they purposely letting him shoot? Are they feeding him those lines? I don't know, but it's fun. It does feel like he's in it, and I think that matters. You know what I mean? I feel like we can be kind of I personally, when commentary is the best is when it helps you get into it. And I think McAfee helps makes you sink into it a little bit. So yeah, I like it, man. I think the dude cuts a good promo too.
Yeah,
Uh, I wouldn't mind him popping up in the Rumble if he got a spot. So
that'd be cool. Yeah, I remember when he first got into NXT and he was feuding with Adam Cole and they booked that match. I was not for it at all. I was like, nah, the spot can go to someone else. It's takeover. Like, don't turn it into like WrestleMania where you're giving a celebrity a spot just because you want more eyes on the
right, for
product.
sure.
And then they had the match, and my mind was changed 100%. Like, this
No,
dude
he
loves
put in
the
the work. He
business.
put in the
Yeah.
work.
And then the War Games match, like he upped it, and like I think the dude is a very welcome addition to WWE. And I almost want like during SmackDown to like have a separate screen just in the corner so we can watch him because the dude is
That'd be funny.
animated. Like you'll see him in the background when like they're focused on like from the ramp to the ring
Yeah,
that camera, and you can just see him in the background going crazy and like
I know. I love
the
him.
dude's so animated.
Not Nakamura's entrance.
Oh
Like
yeah,
sometimes he'll jump on the table. Like okay, like I kind of want to feel that that's totally just him. You know what I mean? Because
I
like I
feel
feel like
like it is.
no other announcer, commentator, I don't think would have the thought or the balls to do that. Because I feel like they have to be very rigid and like we got a script. But I feel like that feels just like fuck yeah, and, like stuff.
Do you remember back in the day when pay-per-views like they used to have, because like Raw and SmackDown they had their separate
What's a pay per view? Is it a premium live event?
it was back in the day.
Before the
Back,
premium live event.
yeah, before the premium events. I didn't even realize they started calling them that.
I believe I just looked. I didn't look too hard, but I think they rebranded it on Peacock. By the way, like it says premium live events and it shows the.
Oh, okay. I haven't. Yeah, I haven't looked, so I'll have to look at that. But so yeah, previous pay-per-view events, because like Raw and SmackDown, they had their own commentary teams, but for the pay-per-views, it was always Michael Cole, Matt Stryker, and Jerry Lawler. And I kind of wish they'd go back to that with Michael Cole, Pat McAfee, and maybe like a Corey Graves, and just like have them call the match, like the entire card for a pay-per-view. Because like yeah, Pat McAfee, like the dude is like he's like the fans commentator. I feel like he's a dude just like us who just loves wrestling, and like I'm almost more invested in the match because of him.
Yeah.
Like did you watch SmackDown last night?
Yes.
So the Charlotte Flair Naomi match, great match. But I feel like it was elevated because of his commentary.
That's kind of what I was trying to get to is when you care and helps make us care. You know what I mean? As far as promos and commentary, you know what I mean? Like I cannot care about a match, but then if they're both able to give me a promo like a Raw before, and it's a promo that like is great, all of a sudden I care now. And the same thing with commentary now. It can make you, and it definitely invests you. You know what I mean? It seems like even going to stand-up comedy, if you have a comedian who's not sure or like going through the motions, it's hard to get into it. But when
Right.
you're in the moment, that helps you. So yeah, I think definitely. I think that when commentary like happens, and he sounds like he truly cares, and it sounds like he's truly having fun and invested, and mad when a heel cheats, but happy when a good guy wins, and whatnot. Like gets you invested.
Right. Um, I would also recommend watching his. He's got a YouTube show, and he had Michael Cole on there, and that was a great conversation. It made me appreciate Michael Cole even more. I don't like the bad rap he gets as a commentator because I think I think he's pretty good at his job.
Maybe future
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
no one's lasted as long as he has. Like,
for like 25 years.
The dude's doing something right, where like the dude's lasted since early like midnight.
Yeah. The only thing I don't like of Michael Cole is his WrestleMania match, but we won't get into that.
We can 14 minutes, baby.
Like, I didn't mind it because that they were booked because you do I feel like you do have some filler cards on the match, or on the card, but yeah, that it was too long, and
everything, man.
He gets his butt kicked for 15 minutes, and then oh no, we're just gonna reverse the decision.
That's what, yeah, just the whole thing. Like you said, you kind of nailed it. Like this should have been your 3 to 5 minute match of just Lawler beating him up, maybe a little bit of a comeback because of Swagger, and then take it home. They overbooked it. They overbooked the hell out of it, and then they took away Lawler's win, like which should have been the whole point. The whole point of the match is that Lawler never had a match at Mania. That's the whole point.
Right.
And then all of a sudden they were like, and then Cole wins, which leads to nothing. It's not like Cole's on the roster. It's sucked on multiple levels, yeah. And also too, I always thought like it should have just been like Lawler and Swagger, and like you know what I mean, and then get Cole for 5 minutes at the next pay per view or that pay per view. I don't know. It could have been done a couple different ways.
Yeah, I'm also not a fan of the way they used Swagger after his championship run, but that's also a discussion for another time. I miss him in AEW. I don't know where he's been.
I will say I love AEW, but there is a factor of a lot of people like disappear. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like he's one of them where it's like, well, yeah, where's he at? There's some people who go like, where they been? Even my boy Jay Lethal, like, what a great debut, and then like they really haven't followed up.
Yeah. Oh, we'll just have you on AEW Dark on YouTube.
Yeah, like, and that's why you'll see their wins and losses all of a sudden will be huge. It'll be like, how's he got 27 wins? I haven't seen him in 3 months. Like, he's only ever gotten.
He's been squashing people on Dark. Like, yeah, I don't. Every once in a while, Dark will have a match that interests me, but overall, I think it's just a showcase for their top talent or people that could be top talent, and it's just a bunch of squash matches. And it
I don't
doesn't.
mind it. I only dislike it. Not dislike it, I don't say it, but whenever there's like we've got 14 matches, I'm like, that's too much,
Yeah,
especially when they're all squashes
and then
or
you see
like
the run. Yeah,
10 out of 14 are squashes. Squashes.
squashes.
It's too much. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like, and if you ever go on the bottom, usually somebody, a fan, will like timestamp it, and you'll see like this match starts in 19 minutes. The next match is at 22. Like, you can tell like everything's short.
yeah, yeah. I'll see like 14 matches, including Rio
Yeah,
and then you'll see the runtime. It's like an hour and 8 minutes. I'm like,
yeah.
oh,
That's pretty
I'll
short
skip
on
it.
14.
Yeah,
Yeah, like I said, I like watching it because too. I usually almost every show I'll have friends on it. A lot of my friends get shots.
right. Because for the longest time, it was in Florida, right?
Yeah.
So
And even
yeah,
recently, they went back to Jacksonville and whatnot. So yeah, my boy Troy Hollywood and Jay Lethal had a good match at Elevation, I think, this week.
okay. Um, so yeah, let's AEW. Let's talk about it. It's the hot thing going right now. Are you one of those, or were you one of those where you? Because I had this thought that maybe they were just going to push, the Cody and the Young Bucks and Omega. I had that thought that maybe we're going to see a lot of them and it's going to feel overbooked for them. I had those thoughts. Did those thoughts ever occur to you? Did you have those?
I mean,
those
maybe it's definitely possible. They're all EVPs on top of being roster members, and I mean, you could argue that like they've all been booked pretty decently. All four of them, if you include Omega too, have all won titles already. I think Cody has been a little heavily pushed as far as titles. I was very surprised he took it off Guevara for a
Me too.
third one. I thought that was a little questionable in my opinion. I think they've done a good job. Like I said, I know it's kind of contradictory to what I just said, because there's a balance you got to find as far as none of them have been at least booked to the point to where it's like they're there every week and no one else is. Like it does seem to be like they all kind of take gaps and breaks, which is good. You know, that's one thing that I used to really like about AEW is that it never felt like just the Jericho show or just the Omega show. But at the same time, you also gotta not have people disappear too long though. But yeah, I mean, they're all really talented too. So like in a way, like I can't argue it too much. You know what I mean? Like their matches usually end up being pretty damn good. So like I also don't hate it from that aspect. Is like, hey, if they're good, then use them. But yeah, there's always that worry of I don't know if it's nepotism or what, but like, obviously pushing yourselves, and there is a level of pushing your friends too. When it comes to guys like Akazawa getting a spot, and Brandon. And although I like Brandon as the Flacky.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I did. I had those worries, but I appreciated that Omega wasn't the first world champ.
Yeah,
He wasn't even
he
in the
didn't jump
first
to it.
world title match. Like it was Jericho and Hangman, and then the Bucks weren't the first tag team champs. But when they won it, I felt like they did earn it. Like it was their time. And then obviously when they lost them, they had lengthy runs. So when they lost them, it felt like the new champs really did earn it, and people wanted to see them lose. I think they are good heels. And Omega, I think Omega can put on a good match with just about anyone. And the Young Bucks, like they're probably my second favorite tag team in the business right now. Who's first? It's the Usos. Just because I've seen more of them. I've always been a WWE guy. I wasn't much of a Ring of Honor guy or a New Japan guy. I just didn't have access to it
So are you
as
saying
easily.
you were down to the stable?
What was that? You're kind of cutting out.
For the Usos, you were
Down since day one, since they debuted and attacked a kid in what was it? Was it the Hart Dynasty? I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. With when they were with Tamina. Yeah. That's yeah. I'm good at trivia, guys.
And you are a former a show about trivia champion, movie trivia
I
champion.
am because you asked questions about mid 2010s comedies for like half the match, but anyway.
I love my comedies.
That's true. That's true. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about the trivia. So you have wrestling with trivia. I've been involved with combat wrestling trivia, which was a fluke because the guy who runs it, his Hunter, we know Hunter, was doing like a breakout star tournament, and I was a little late. They were just going to do 4 guys that haven't had a match, and I was a little late to it. But somebody had to drop out, and he contacted me, asked me if I wanted to play. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, sure. Went into it, didn't expect to win. I ended up winning the entire tournament, and I did pretty well, I would say. I don't have the greatest record. I'm like 7-11 or something like that, but all of my matches are close. So, but you have wrestling with trivia, and you've had like what, over 100 matches that you've hosted or played in, or like overall, just. Where you're kind of cutting out again. I'm gonna gift you a microphone one of these days.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
My keyboard was too high up. We're close to 200.
Oh wow.
191. Yes, and I'm in every one of them. Sadly, sorry, folks. No, but I'm either hosting or I'm playing in all of them. Yeah.
So how'd that come about? You just decided to ask questions one day, and
well, another shout out to Wheels. I didn't know I was going to mention him so much on the show.
shout out Wheels. We'll have you on the show one day.
Yeah, bring him on. I'm sure he'll do it. Me and him, friends in real life. We'd always kind of quiz each other, a little bit back and forth throughout times. We'd see NXT live house show, which is a lot of fun, by the way. A good perk of living in Florida because you get to see them try stuff out. I saw what Tom Pritchard said in a shoot interview was one of the worst matches he ever saw, which was involved Brad Maddox. He was trying out a gimmick where he was like a reality star with a camera crew, and then they tried having like him dipping out and like getting to the crew uniform with the crew guy wrestling for him, but it took horribly way too long, and it's such a shit fest. And I was the one that saw it. I remember him mentioning it in like a shoot interview. I was like, I saw that. And, I've been meaning to dive too because back in the day they never stopped me from filming, so I have that match on film. Like I have that somewhere, and so I've been thinking about it. I used to release them. I was getting a good amount of YouTube views, and then finally one day WWE shut me down, and so I stopped uploading them. But I've got a lot of like FCW NXT archives that like nobody has except for the WWE themselves, and they never release it. So if anyone wants to, PayPal me, I'll send you some exclusive wrestling you've never seen before. Well, why was I talking about that? Trivia. Okay,
trivia,
sorry.
Yes, trivia.
Sidetrack. So yeah, we would like quiz each other like after like Denny's and like just have fun with it. And then pandemic happened, and it was like, oh shit, can't see anyone talking to my friends. So I found out about our friends like StreamYard. I use Zoom a lot, so I was like, oh, do it that way. You know what I mean? I'll write questions. It's more of a you know what I mean? Because like at dinner sometimes we don't get a couple in, and then where people would want to talk about something else, so we can actually kind of focus for 20 30 minutes on just the trivia, fight each other, have fun, and then from that it was like, this is fun. Like, who else is available? And then all of a sudden it became more of a global thing. All of a sudden it was, hey, I've got a friend who lives in wherever, and then that guy's got a friend, and then all of a sudden we got people from Washington and Philly, and all of a sudden we got Richie Goodacre from a totally different country, and we're literally global now. And yeah, it just kind of took off from there, man. It's been a lot of fun. From there, I started doing the movie trivia as well. And yeah, it's been a lot of fun. Good way to meet. again, like-minded people in a way, or people that all have that one, singular common love of wrestling and or movies, and the other one, and another place where Chris Cass in Canada, getting to know him and you and everyone, and it's been a lot of fun. And the only problem now is 200 shows in, trying to find new questions, man. I feel like I've asked all the basic ones, like you know what I mean, like
It's a good thing
what
they're put
celebrity was in the 2001 Rumble? Like I've asked all the basic shit, so
right.
like I'm getting more obscure now. Like, uh, uh, who? What is the third move of the second match of Slamboree '97?
How did Johnny Knoxville qualify for the 2022 Royal
He
Rumble?
sneak attacked Sami Zayn and threw him over the top rope, and evidently that's enough.
That's gonna Johnny. I think Johnny Knoxville is going to have the greatest spot in the 2022 Royal Rumble.
I hope it's at
Calling
least
it
like
now.
memorable. Like I don't hate it. So I was talking about this the other day. I don't hate it. This is one I think again. I'll give a little bit more slack with celebrities if I feel like they actually kind of care. And I do feel like Knoxville is a fan, and I
Yeah.
also feel like you might do something kind of fun, like whether it's somebody gorilla pressing him outside onto a couple guys or something to where hopefully it's entertaining at least.
Yeah.
We've seen worse as far as celebrities, so I'm okay with it.
As long as he doesn't eliminate himself like Drew Carey did.
That's what I mean. Like the Jigger thing's kind of funny, but like you can never do that again because that's just kind of a waste.
Yeah. And apparently that spot alone is Hall of Fame worthy. So
That's when you just start to roll
um,
your eyes. But
yeah. No, I think Knoxville will have a good spot. I think he does like the business and appreciate the business. I mean, Steve-O got squashed by Umaga, so I feel like all the Jackass
he got
guys.
really murdered because nobody told him to sell.
Yeah.
I would get pissed.
Yeah, I mean, sure, this is all just a big marketing for the new Jackass movie, but I think
Oh, of course.
yeah, I think you can do that in the Royal Rumble. I mean, you got 30 entrants, and at least like 20 of them don't have a chance at all. So, I mean, I don't mind one of those spots going
One of
to a
my
celebrity
favorite,
here.
like it's actually quite rude, but one of my favorite lines. I think there's like a Monday Night Raw, and it's like a battle royal to determine either the champion or like the number one contender. And Vince is like, everybody has a shot. I mean, not like Steven Richards, but like everybody has a shot. Like he like straight up called out Steven.
I mean, he's not wrong, but
I just it is. It is true. Like obviously in the Rumble, like yeah, you can narrow it down to 5, maybe 10 if you want to go crazy. But yeah, everyone else is just it's to fill spots, and like I
right.
don't think Spike Dudley or Tommy Dreamer, Mark Jindrak, I don't think like those guys ever had a shot.
No. Um, shoot, I don't know. I don't know who could take it this year. I mean, I thought Bobby Lashley was going to win. They were going to set up a Lashley Lesnar feud for Mania because I think that's a money match. And
I told you they weren't.
and then he's like, no, we're gonna give the match away at the Rumble. And I'm like, okay, well, I mean, I'm glad we're getting it, but
Rumble's a big enough pay per view, and like I do feel like we're gonna milk Brock and Roman. There's your Mania match.
yeah, I just hope it's not title for title because then what does the Rumble winner do? Like it kind of makes the Rumble
Okay. My
meaningless. I don't know.
prediction is who's fighting Brock at the Rumble?
Lashley.
Oh, I think Lashley might take it, and I think partially might be because of Roman.
I
So
could see that.
off, and then you can, I don't know if you want to do Big E again, or your options are kind of open at that moment.
Yeah, because Lesnar's not defending it in the chamber if he wins it if he retains. He's not fighting again till Mania. I feel.
Oh, probably not. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, part of me, like they're milking Reigns versus Lesnar. Obviously, I mean they teased it last night. I'm not sure what's going on with Heyman. I thought that whole segment last night was weird. Like it was fine until it was fine until Paul Heyman is usually the best part of any segment he's involved in. he was the worst part of that segment last night, in my opinion. Like what are you doing, Paul? And
His heart was broken.
it's like I didn't get it. I think Lesnar's having like the most fun he's had since he returned, in 2012. Like he just looks like he's having fun.
I will say, if you had told me Jordan Owens a year ago, I would be kind of hyped for a Brock versus Roman match at Mania. I would have said you're a liar. That's dumb. You've seen it. I don't want it. But like Brock's having fun. Roman's got the most interesting he's been in forever. Like, yeah, I'm kind of looking forward to it.
I don't think they've had a bad match either. Like they've delivered, I think, every single time. I mean, I think what you're gonna get.
You mean specifically with those two, like against each other?
Yeah.
Oh, then yeah. I mean, yeah. I just would have been bored by it because I feel like again we've seen it, but we've never seen it in this exact capacity.
Yeah, Roman's never been the heel,
right?
So, so yeah, now that we brought that up, how do you feel about Seth versus Roman? Do you think Drew? I feel like maybe Drew McIntyre was the plan, and then I don't know if his injury is real, or if he's just taking time off, or if they're milking that with Corbin. But Seth, it feels weird.
It's very weird. A lot of people have not hinted, but guessed that Drew was the plan because the way I look at it is okay. One, on a good level, if they're given it time, it will actually probably be a good match. I look at it from that way. But as far as booking wise, one, it does show that your lack of roster, like it kind of sucks in a major way to a degree that SmackDown's roster is so light that they had to go to Raw to find a competitor. Like that's kind of showing you like that's a lack of depth. The fact that Drew couldn't do it, they had to go and literally had to go to the other show. That's not good, man. Like it shows that you need to start building more people. Maybe stop firing some great guys. That's not good in my opinion. And then two, it's just odd because who am I as a fan supposed to really kind of get behind here? Rollins is a egotistical, drip wearing suit guy, and Roman is, acknowledge me, bad tribal chief, sometimes cheats with the Usos. Like, there's no real clear face. Like, it might be a good match, but at the same time, it does show you a lack of depth of the roster, and you don't really have a face for me to care about.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think of who else is on SmackDown, and I can't.
He's killed them all, man. You can't do Cesaro. You've done that. You can't do Baylor. Baylor's on the other show now, I think, anyway. So yeah, just there really wasn't many other choices unless they randomly did Nakamura, but he's barely even defended that IC title. Like, what can you do?
Yeah, like when are you going to defend that against Zayn? If you give them time, they can put on a banger. We've seen that.
Fight forever.
Yeah. But yeah, no, it feels weird booking Rollins into this match. Especially since he just failed at capturing the WWE title, and
yeah, that's true too.
Like, all right, well, let's see if we can capture the other one. Okay.
No, that's true too. He's not exactly coming off a hot spot either, so it does show you again lack of depth because a very good point of it's not like he's coming off these big wins. He's coming off of failing on the other show, failing twice technically, actually, failing in the title match and then failing in the number one contenders match, and then 3 days later, Tuesday, Wednesday, 4 days later, he's all of a sudden just number one contender. Why? Because that's the best guy.
Because Adam Pearce said so. And he just happened to be at SmackDown that night.
Yeah, great point too.
I don't know. I'm hoping there's more to it, and we're just not giving it time. But as of right now, it just doesn't make sense. And I know a lot of things in wrestling sometimes don't make sense, but we're not stupid wrestling fans. Like I don't know. It just I'm sure the match will be fine because Seth Rollins is
Yeah,
a great talent.
that's my silver lining is that it will probably be a good match.
Then it's like who wins the Rumble? Like I'm racking my brain around that because I thought the obvious choice would have been Lashley to build up to that Lesnar Lashley feud at Mania. I think that should have been the way they go. Obviously, if they're going to go Lesnar Reigns, and I just don't know if one of them will be the champion still going into it.
No, it really all depends on what the future, what their future plans are. If, let's say, you do have Roman screwing over Brock, do you do that early and then have Brock squeeze his way into the Rumble? Do you do, okay, the title's on Lashley now? Do you give Big E the Rumble win and have Big E challenge Lashley, and then Brock fights Roman because of something else? So it really depends on where they're gonna go with the two titles. I think we both kind of are assuming that Rollins is not going to win. Because let's say Rollins
Oh
wins, that's a whole different universe.
no, I don't. I don't think Rollins is going to win.
Unless Brock screws Roman, and then Roman jumps in the Rumble, and then Roman
That
challenges Brock.
that's not outside the realm of possibility. I
Like I'm
think.
just saying, like I don't know, we've seen it before. I don't like that trope being overly done. We've done it before, but it's a trope that's there for a reason when you're trying to kind of last second set stuff up.
Yeah, I feel like Reigns has won so many of his matches that way, like because of other people that I want to see him go on a run until WrestleMania where he's just dominant, and it feels like no one can take the title from him. Like before, it was because of the Usos or whatever involvement, and now I want it to be because no, he's just that good. Like he's you know, and so when he finally does get that title taken away from him, it feels like a big deal. Like it's gonna feel like a big deal, but I want him to go on like a dominant like 3 month stretch where he's just taking down people. I wouldn't be, I'm spitballing here and I'm just talking and I'm thinking out loud. I wouldn't mind if it was a squash match between Rollins and Reigns. Like he just, I wouldn't mind that. And then, if it's done right, because I feel like Rollins is one of those who can recover from it pretty well, just because I feel like he's just over with the fans. Like some people are not gonna like it, but I feel like he can
My
recover.
trepidatious with that is I don't think it's necessary. I'm a firm believer. Shawn Michaels theory. Shawn Michaels got over because he got his ass kicked as much as he kicked ass, and that made you care for him. So I don't think Roman needs to squash Rollins because one, I think that would hurt Rollins to a degree, and also two, I always look at it from this aspect. I'm tuning in. I want to see some good wrestling, and I always look at it from this aspect. I always feel really bad for the people in the stands. They paid good
Mhm.
money for those tickets, really good money, and then they get treated to a squash. Like that sucks for them. Like I was
Yeah,
like with Brock and Goldberg, people were expecting a match in Survivor Series, and they got 17 seconds or whatever.
minute 26, but I think that worked. I personally think
Yeah,
that
I'm just saying.
worked.
I always feel bad for the people in the stand.
Yeah, and I'm not meaning a squash like that. I'm meaning a squash like Brock Cena, where Roman Reigns is just
I can see
dominating
it.
a
I mean, Brock
match.
always threw Rollins around. Rollins never had a good time with Brock.
Yeah, but this time he's and maybe this is the start of a face turn for Rollins. I feel like we've seen him as a heel long enough. I think Raw needs more
I
faces. They
just,
got
I,
Big E, and
look,
then
I would really miss the suits.
I don't think that has to go away.
Okay, you mean it as
I
as face?
Yeah,
Alright,
I mean you can come out and yeah, I'm looking good, I'm feeling good, and you can get the cheap McFoley pop. We're here in you know Baton Rouge, Louisiana, or wherever they're at. I don't know why I thought of Baton Rouge. But no, I think he's a great heel, but outside of Biggie and Edge on Raw, I can't think of another you know big baby face that I guess Brock now. I think he's kind of a baby face and technically is on Raw because he's the WWE champion, but I don't know. I feel like Rollins could use a face turn. Um, but that's just me.
Yeah, that's just you.
That's just me. What do I know? I thought Lashley was going to win the Rumble. I don't know now. I have no idea. And it's usually been pretty clear this close to the Rumble. Like there's some idea about who's going to win. Like the year Rollins won, I felt like it was pretty clear. McIntyre. It felt like he was on his way up, and then once he was the one that eliminated Lesnar, I was like, okay, yep, that's where they're going. But I don't. They could go completely out of left field and give it to Sheamus again.
I did find it interesting that like Sheamus is kind of on the first big announcements. Like, no offense, I like him, but I was like, yeah, like he's the first guy. Like, all right, whatever. Like,
yeah. I miss qualifying matches. Like, I wish they'd go back to that, but they can't because they keep firing everybody. So they don't.
Talk about this, Jacob, since we're talking about the Rumble. I think kind of the biggest news, more than Sheamus, more than all this Lashley Rollins stuff.
Yeah,
and I mean, we the Forbidden Door. This is the most forbidden that I've ever seen. Yeah. You have never seen an Impact / TNA person getting involved in a wrestling match. We've seen Flair on hold for the Hall of Fame because they got Christian, but she's in a match. And they fucking name dropped Impact. Like they said it. Like they're not hiding it. Like, oh, she's on the Independents. They said Impact.
Yeah, and it's like they've mentioned it before, like on like Stone Cold's podcast.
Yes,
yeah. They've never mentioned it on.
Never on Raw or SmackDown though.
Yeah,
never.
which, yeah, I'm gonna. What if she wins? What if she's like still the Impact champion going into the Rumble and she wins? Like that would be.
And then 2, 3, 4 spots later, Deonna Purrazzo comes out. He dumps her out. And she wins.
And then Nyla Rose comes out like.
Yes. Oh! I'm so sorry, Kaz.
Like I did see something today that it was by Ringside News, so I don't know how credible it is, but apparently like WWE and AEW are in talks of like something. I don't know exactly what. I didn't read the article. I saw the title. I was like, oh, I'm going to read that later. But I'm like, what's going on? Are we going to get that Forbidden Door open all the way? Like it was like open for TNA and Ring of Honor, but like WWE, like, nah, you're not on the list. I'm curious, like, what this Mickie James involvement means for the future.
It's interesting, man. It's another one of those weird firsts, that we're getting. I'll say this too, though, on a on a less level. What did you feel? I dislike the fact that they gave away all the other surprises, though, or at least the majority. Like I thought that was weird. Part of the fun for me is 3, 2, 1, and oh shit, it's Lita. Oh shit, it's Bella. Like we know now, Bella's McCool, Lita, Summer Rae. Like they get like there might be more. I'm thinking obviously maybe we'll get some NXTs. I think Raquel Gonzalez I would be my number one. Like she gets in, maybe dominates a little bit. But
maybe Asuka finally comes back.
They gave away probably the majority of the surprises, if not all the surprises. That was
yeah. Yeah, I didn't like that. I like that they didn't do that with the men. I wish they didn't do that with the women.
Yeah,
I would have popped for the Bellas because you know I do enjoy them. I mean they're not the greatest, but they're not bad at all.
they got
Um,
better, and like the Lita Pop would have been pretty cool too.
yeah. I'm thinking maybe we get Layla. Maybe we get that Lay Cool reunion.
I mean,
Maybe
there's so
that'll be
many
a surprise.
possibilities. Yeah,
Um, if you had to choose one NXT guy, male, to show up in the Rumble, who would you choose?
uh, Von Wagner. No, sorry.
Do you think Grayson Waller will be in the Rumble? Do you think we'll see that like AJ Styles,
I don't
Grayson
know.
Waller kind of
I don't think that. No, wait, that's right. It's around thinking Mania. Rumble, maybe.
Rumble? Yeah, like do we think?
Rumble.
I don't think. Yeah, I don't think they pushed that to the Mania. I don't. That's
that was my mistake. That's what I was saying. I was like, I don't think we're gonna see that all the way tomorrow. I'm afraid that the Rumble's not that. It's still a little bit of ways. I feel like we'll be done with that by the time we get to the Rumble. But the fact that Waller was on Raw, I think shows that like maybe they're looking at him already. So, um, Waller would be cool. I mean, there's a lot of good guys. I think like have like I mean Zion Quinn and Solo Sequoia. I thought both had been pretty cool, and like they look like main roster dudes. That wouldn't be too bad. I hope they do something with Santos Escobar. I'm afraid because he's not 22. He's like 31. I think or
he's too
something.
old.
Exactly. Like I'm so afraid we're gonna see him getting released. So I hope maybe Santos Escobar. I mean, there's a lot of like possible. Obviously the main possibility as far as realistically, he just pulled the trigger on Braun. Braun Breaker. Does he pop up?
Would be the first time an NXT champion was in the Rumble.
No, it wouldn't be in.
So,
Have him come out. A few eliminations, look good.
yeah. Maybe who knows? Maybe he wins the whole thing, and that and that's how we get the Mania match. Is he'll choose a challenger for his title, and we'll get Reigns versus Lesnar, title versus title.
Yeah.
Because knowing WWE, anything can happen, whether it's good or bad.
Anything, man.
Yeah. Don't count on William Regal showing up. That one surprised me. Like they've been releasing a lot of questionable, like they've made a lot of questionable choices when it comes to releases. I thought Regal was a lifer. Seems like they're just getting rid of anything tied to Triple H, and I'm wondering, like,
You kind of say it in that statement of as we grow and change, it really does feel like, hey, if you're on part of the old guard, I mean, look at Samoa Joe twice. Because he's been
twice.
fired twice in a year. Like, come on. And yeah, Regal's a shocker, man. Because I mean, from every report, it seems to be this dude was, you know what I mean, talented, respected. You know what I mean. I saw him personally at Evolve shows, scouting talent. But if they're done with indie talent, I guess you have no need for someone to scout indie talent. And then hiring, all the basketball people and
Yeah.
so that one sucks, man. A lot of these, I feel bad for Steve Carino's sister, who I think just moved down. Uh,
That's
uh,
yeah. I read that.
yeah, formerly known as Allison Danger in Shimmer and Ring of Honor. Evidently, she had just they pulled the Eric Bischoff on her. She had just moved. Her kid had just started school, and they're done with her already. Um, uh, Good luck to Steve. Hopefully, he still has a job if he wants it. He's but if you look, I saw GCW a week or two ago, and Scotty Too Hottie, who had quit because he kind of saw the writing on the wall.
Yeah.
So the place is changing, and like not for the better. It seems as far as I don't know, just love and personalities from what I can tell.
Mm. Yeah. It's definitely a new era of NXT, and I think just really seeing firing William Regal, it's like, all right, I don't think we'll get back to that NXT. I don't think it's going to get
No,
to that
yeah,
level.
that's like the final. That Joe, and I'm so afraid for Ciampa. Man, I'm afraid for Tommaso Ciampa.
Well, I'm not, because I don't think we'll see him on screen very much anymore. Like he's always kind of made it known that he doesn't really want to go to the main roster.
That's what
Um,
we're gonna find
so
vaccine.
yeah, but I feel like if he's not backstage here, he can be backstage somewhere, and he'll still make an impact
No,
somewhere.
I mean when I say afraid, I just mean like, yeah, like at the end of the day, Joe's gonna be fine. At the end of the day, you can even look at something like Zach Cardona, Matt Cardona, Zack Ryder, and like you could argue like it's a blessing in disguise. Like the dude's probably had the most fun and is a bigger star. Yes, on a lower level, but he's a bigger star. So like there's always a silver lining. You know what I mean? Mickey James is
Yeah,
killing it
yeah,
in Impact and whatnot. So oh yeah, no, he'll at the end of the day, he'll be fine because he's talented enough, and there's probably enough juice left in the tank where I'm sure he could do like maybe an occasion. He obviously still can do occasional matches. He's going to be someone like oh, you want me to do house shows and every Raw and every, you know what I mean? He's not there anymore, but he can still
no,
definitely be popping up in whether it's AEW, Impact, Ring of Honor's rebrand. Yeah, he'll be fine. I just mean like it does kind of suck that like in another universe, he, Joe, Regal, you know what I mean? The NXT would just still be killing it, like the old ways.
yeah. I think if he does go, I wouldn't mind if he went to AW. I think he can put on some good matches with people there, and I think there's a lot of up and comers there that could use his coaching or whatever. You see all those dark matches with lesser known names, and I think he could really work with those people pretty well. So yeah, no, I don't know how much more we'll see of him. I think we could see, on the next batch of releases maybe. Um,
As it is.
which sucks because I mean, dude just lost his title 2 days ago, 3 days ago, whatever, 5 days ago. Math.
I was gonna joke to you, if you ever had like graphics for this show, and like for like repeated segments, like top 10, graphics, you need a graphic that says who was hired this month, like I feel like that's gonna be a common thread on the show
What
every few months.
what month were they fired?
Yeah,
Yeah, no. Yeah, it's just it's weird seeing the direction the company's going in. I know I've heard a few people say that it looks like they're getting ready to sell.
I mean
Um,
supposedly they might have already tried to Fox.
yeah, I read that too. So
Speaking
yeah, I don't.
of Foxes, that's what we need: Freddie Prinze Jr., Macaulay Culkin, and Triple H. Quit, start your own company, all three of you. Okay, let's do it.
I mean, Triple H has shown that he can put on run a pretty good company. So
In a way, he's
um,
already shown us
yeah, I
NXT.
mean NXT for what was it? It was like a 6 year run, 5 year run where
When they were doing the Wednesday Night Wars, like there was weeks where I enjoyed it more than AEW. I did.
yeah,
There was weeks
yeah,
where it was like AEW's main event was a fine 6 man, and NXT was fucking Baylor and O'Reilly killing each other. Like there was weeks where I loved it. And you can still and I'm a firm believer in if the record ain't broke, don't fix it. Like they still had, you know what I mean, like their typical WWE like big guys and like tryouts and whatnot. Like I don't know, I didn't see the need of just rebranding it to where it just feels like I don't know, like an FCW again to a degree, or I don't know.
yeah. I like to stay optimistic, and maybe NXT will go in a direction that's good for the company. But I'm not loving it as much as I did. Um, there's not very many aspects of the main roster that I'm enjoying, other than you know Reigns. Reigns has been having a hell of a 2 years. Um, the stuff with Lesnar is good. I like that they made Big E champ, but there's a lot of questionable behind the scenes decisions that are affecting my enjoyment of like, all right, yeah, I mean, you're doing this, but how long till they're not there anymore? um, so I don't know. I'm glad AEW is around. I really am. They they're doing great. I think um, they got CM Punk back into wrestling. I think that's been good.
That was that was the greatest moment of the year, man. I loved it.
Yeah, that moment is up there with me. With Jericho's entrance when they couldn't play his music, like he could no Judas, and the crowd was like, really, watch us. That's like my favorite entrance of all time now. Like it's great. It just shows how over Jericho still is as a 50-year-old. Um, yeah, no AEW. I
I
think
love Jericho, man. Jericho's probably on my Mount Rushmore.
he's my favorite. He's my number one.
I love man. No argument here. He's definitely my top 5, top 10 for sure.
Yeah, like Sting's still up there just because like he was the one from my childhood, but my late like my early teen years and like even up into my adult years, like Jericho was the man. Like he just found ways to reinvent himself and not get stale. And even now, like he's kind of back into that Y2J era, I feel, but not like he was when he first debuted in WWE, but like he's kind of the Y2J esque, I would say. I think he's just at the point where his career where he's just having fun. So yeah, that's that. I feel like we're just kind of rambling at this point, but that's kind of the point of this. It's a podcast about wrestling. We're going to talk about wrestling. And speaking of wrestling, is there anything going on with Jordan that the people should know about when it comes to wrestling?
Like plugs and upcoming.
Yeah, I didn't want it to explain, but yeah, I
I
thought it
didn't.
was just going to flow naturally, but what do I know?
Actually, you know what's funny? Literally confirmed minutes ago. Uh, Real Pro Wrestling. We took off January. We're maybe working on some February stuff, but March the 12th, we are back in our home, the Crown Plaza. Beautiful venue, hotel as well. If you want to stay the night and catch some wrestling, March the 12th, we'll be live in Fort Myers, Florida. They're actually a week before March the 6th outside the Crown Plaza for the Comic Con. We're always part of their Comic Con. They run there. It's a lot of fun. March the 6th as well, before you catch us or after. Um, go inside to the Comic Con and meet Axe and Smash WWF legends. Devil
Ooh,
will be live in that event. I'm going to get
all
myself
right,
my
maybe.
encyclopedia signed. And then March the 19th, we're in Ave Maria. We used to run in Ave Maria all the time. Then the venue closed down, but we usually come back once a year in front of the town square. It's a nice, fun festival. Completely free show as well, March the 19th, over in Ave
Ooh,
Maria. So January and February, we don't have anything. But then in March, we got 3 things within like a week of each other. So plenty of opportunity to catch some real pro wrestling if you're anywhere near Fort Myers, Ave Maria. Check that out. January, I believe actually the Rumble Day, January 29th, Rumble Day. If you're in the St. Pete area, it's in the afternoon. Come check out Tampa Bay Pro Wrestling. We're gonna have a great event there, and then watch the Rumble. So that's a great little twofer for you, for them. And you can always catch me uh, right here with Jacob on a show, on a podcast about wrestling. I almost said a show about
you almost said a show about trivia, show about shows,
on a
whatever.
show about a
You got
podcast.
a you got a show about everything. All right, you mentioned the Rumble real quick. I'm gonna put you on the spot. Who's winning? If you had to choose right now.
Oh man, I want to get closer and actually look into the field. The Rumble. All right. Women's wise, let's go. Uh, Sasha. She's not hurt permanently.
She's
Is she?
out 6 to 8 weeks because of a foot injury.
6 to 8 weeks. I
Rumble
don't believe it.
C3.
She's pulling a Cena. She's gonna win. I'm sticking with it.
She
Uh,
could. That could be. It could just be throwing us off, and then that's the surprise.
that's the word for the Cena return in Madison Square Garden was that they always uh overblew the return to make it seem like it was going to be so far off. Well, wrestlers know, man. Wrestlers know. They're fucking with us. For the men, if it's not Stevie Richards, uh, see, it's still tough. Like like you said
It
before,
won't
I
be
don't
Stevie
know
Richards.
if there's a clear front runner or even front runners. I'll say Big E. I'll say Big E gets a big old Rumble win.
Okay. For the women's, I think it's time to reestablish Shayna Baszler as a beast.
Okay.
And I think it starts with a dominating Rumble win. I think she could use it. I'd like to see it come down to maybe her and Bianca. Maybe Bianca goes back to back. I don't know. Or maybe my dark horse, maybe Alexa Bliss. She comes back, and that's the start of a big push for her.
Liv Morgan, maybe.
Maybe that would be. I feel like the crowd would pop for that. Yeah, there's so many that could win the women's, whereas with the men, it's like there's also so many that could win, but it's like who? For the men's, I'm gonna go. I'll think a little outside the box. I think I'll go with Sheamus.
The Shane
I'm gonna go Sheamus. I
lobster
think,
head.
yeah. It's been a while since we've seen a second time winner. It's been like 5 years, so I think it's time to pull that back maybe. But if they gave it to Big E, I wouldn't be upset at all.
We'll see. Like I said, I almost want to like another because we're so how far away. We're at the 8th.
3 weeks.
Yeah, we got it literally an even 3 weeks. So we'll see, man.
Oh yeah, that's right. It's on a Saturday.
Yeah,
Year.
they pulled.
Wow.
What's your opinion on that, real quick? Do you like or dislike or neutral on Saturday?
I'm neutral. As long as it's on the weekend, and I'm off work, and I kind of like it better because I don't have to work the next day.
That's why I personally think it's better. To me, like when we're booking events personally, and we're looking at dates, we do Friday or Saturday. If we have to, an early Sunday. That's for your prime days. Preferably Saturday, not a Friday night, not a Sunday early, and not afternoon. Because to me, I think Sundays have always felt like let's wrap this up. We got work the next day. We're tired. It's 9, 10 o'clock. Saturdays I feel I have more breathing room for let's have fun. Let's go to an event. Let's watch an event. You know what I mean? So I like a Saturday.
Yeah. No, I don't. Yeah, I don't mind it. So yeah, that's my pick. I'm gonna go Sheamus, but if it's Big E, I'll be even happier because I think Big E deserves that WrestleMania moment. Maybe give it to King Woods. Give him his moment. Like Woods has had the or Kingston's had the championship. Big E's had the championship. Let Woods at least go for it.
I don't know about Mania. He just won King of the Ring.
Exactly, and then these people win King of the Ring, and then they never do anything with it. Like they win King of the Ring, and then they're known as the King, and nothing really happens. Like I feel like the last good King of the Ring winner that actually did something with it was King Booker.
King Booker.
King Booker. Again, that's another discussion for another time. We're just rambling up and down because that's what the show is about. It's just two guys talking about wrestling, and you guys listen if you want to. But yeah, if you're in the Florida area, check that guy out. and all the things he talked about. Check him out over on his trivia channel, his wrestling channel. Show about trivia, show about shows, wrestling with trivia, real pro wrestling. Check all that stuff out, and be sure to check us out every time this is uploaded, which will probably be on Sundays because we're recording on Saturday, but it takes time to upload. That's how YouTube works. And then check out a podcast about movies where me and Austin Howell will just sit down and talk about movies.
When do I get to guest star on that show?
We'll talk about it.
That means you didn't allow me.
No, it means I haven't thought about it, and you haven't asked until now.
I know.
So, we'll work it out. If you like wrestling, if you like movies, we're gonna talk about it, and you guys should keep talking about it too. And till then, keep talking about wrestling.